Hello guys and welcome to another video. So this week Tesla announced the Model S Plaid with a refreshed interior and a little bit of refresh on the exterior as well. Now the interior changes especially are quite striking, so I wanted to let it sink in for a couple of days. I haven't watched any other review videos, so these are my own thoughts here after a couple of days of thinking and looking at the new interior and exterior, and I'd like to share with you guys what my findings are, and at the end I will let you know whether I will keep my Model S Plaid Plus reservation or whether I will actually cancel it. Now first look at the exterior changes. So if you look at the images that they have on the website from the front of the car, then some people say that the car is actually wider. But if we take a closer look at these images, so here you see the old Model S, and then if I overlay it with the new one, then it does seem to be wider at first glance. However, if we change the opacity and we completely overlay them, then you will see that the car is actually lower. It's not wider. The wider stance is coming from the fact that it is about, I'd say, if you look at the mirrors and the roofline, about maybe 4 to maximum 5 centimeters lower, giving it a wider stance. Now of course, with the new front grille, that's also a little bit different. People said it's a much bigger opening. Well, it is not really. Again, if we overlay it, then you will see that the opening at the front is actually going in the opposite direction. So with the current car, the opening is like this. With the new car, the top stays the same, but the opening is like this. So yeah, it's a bigger opening, but the design at the top is staying the same there. Now I do like the new version of the front there, but let's have another look at the side view. Now if we take the side view, then again you will see the red car being the old one, the old Model S, and I have assumed that, just as with the previous one, I've assumed that the T logo is the same size. So that's where I get my size difference from. Here I assume that the wheel size is exactly the same because they are both 21-inch wheels. And by overlaying them and scaling them to the same level, you can see that the new car has a diffuser at the back, which is a little bit lower, but also the lip at the front, the diffuser or the splitter at the front, is a little bit lower. The spoiler in the back is also a little bit more flat than what it is, but besides that there is not really that much of a difference. It does seem that the front wheel position is a little bit more different and the motor is a little bit more to the back. That could be due to the fact that it just hooks up to the new battery structure also, which I'll talk about in a minute as well. But yeah, so on the outside not much has changed, but I do like the changes that have been introduced. Now the fact that if we go quickly back to the front, you see those louvers on the sides of the current car. They are not there on the new car. It's more closed with a vent for the wheels and the brakes probably. But that means that there is no cooling in the same way, so there is no fan there, so probably and most likely the heat pump will also be included in that Model S, getting us better range, more efficiency, and yeah, a little bit more or a little bit less equipment that is necessary, so a little bit of a weight saving there as well, and I will come back to that weight saving later on in this video. Now let's move to the interior, where the most of the changes are there, and let's start with addressing the elephant in the room, that new steering wheel. You either love it or hate it. I am kind of inclined to say, okay, I would like to give it a try in terms of the shape of the steering wheel. However, the whole buttons on the steering wheel for the blinkers, for example, the not having any stalks, I'm having very serious doubts about that being practical. I've never been a fan of the whole Model 3, everything happens on the center screen thing. And the button is a function, or the scroll wheels are a function of what feature you have selected. I think it makes everything overly complex, and I would very much like to have some stalks there, especially for the gearing, for example. Now, Elon has already said that the gearing will be guessed by artificial intelligence and the navigation and the cameras. So if you're parked inside your garage, it automatically goes in reverse when you want to back out, because that's probably what you will want to do. And I'm fine with that to a certain extent, but we all know how many troubles there still are with the autopilot, which is also an AI-based system, and I can see so many cases where I have to override what the car is thinking, and I would have to put it to the test to see if it's workable, yes or no. But buying a car, not knowing if it's drivable and or giving you more frustrations than you need, basically, I don't know yet. I'm still thinking about that. The shape itself, it's kind of weird, but I do like the yoke steering wheel from the Roadster, and I hope the Roadster comes with that steering wheel. But the Model S is still a regular car. The Roadster is a special car, and that deserves a special steering wheel. Here, I don't know what to think about it. I'm not against it, but I'd have to see it in person before I can really make up my mind. Now, what I really like about the interior is the horizontal screen, although I think it could have been better integrated. So I made a small Photoshop version with my limited skills of how I would love to see the integration of that screen. So here you have that, where it's better integrated in the entire dash, and it's more symmetrical with the bottom of the dash as well. So that is something that I really like, and I wish that would be an option to have it that way. Now, something that I do like is the fact that there still is the second screen on the dash in front of you, where you will be able to see additional information. One thing I really like about my current Model S is that I have an overview of the navigation on my center screen, and at the same time I have the detail on the dash in front of me, for example, for the next intersection or the next exit that I need to take. So you do have both the general overview and a detailed overview, and that is something that I really like, and I would miss it if that were not possible anymore. So yeah, the horizontal screen is good for the whole Netflix, YouTube thing, and the games for anybody that's interested in that part. I'm not a gamer, so I couldn't care less about all those games. But it is wider, and you will have to reach further. Now, they say it is tiltable. I'm not sure what that means. It's left-right tiltable. But I'm not sure how practical that will be, because then it might be sticking out somewhat. And yeah, again, something that I will have to see. But it's not mandatory to tilt it anyway, so if you want to leave it flat like it is in this picture, then of course there's no problem for you to do so. What I do like also is that underneath the dash, or underneath that screen, you have the wireless phone chargers. Now that brings us immediately to the rear entertainment system. So you have that little screen in the back, which I think is kind of nice, but it is really low positioned, so you would be trying to game like this or watch a video like this, that could hurt the necks of my kids in the back. I would much rather have seen a screen integration in the back of the seat on the two sides. Also, if you look at the back seats, I do have some concerns that it is no longer a 5-seater, but more like a 4.5-seater. And I have 3 kids, they are growing up, so I really need those 5 seats. There is a buckle for a 5th seat, of course, but it does seem rather small. and the underneath that rear entertainment system there is no more cup holders. So we did use that a couple of times with 5 kids, or with 3 kids in the car, 2 adults. We could use those cup holders there, but right now the only cup holders that seem to be there are in the armrest. So if you are with 3 people in the back seat, there's no way to use cup holders. I know it's a first world problem, but it is still a practical problem because we do travel with 5 people in the car on a regular basis. Now also something that I noticed and which is really good is that if you look at the door in the back here, and the same goes for the front door, there is a pocket in the door, which I currently do not have in the Model S. I like it that it has those pockets, but currently I'm not missing them. So I do see that some people will use that, but my car is really clean. I hardly have any stuff in my car, so I don't miss it at all. But yeah, that's also because I adjusted to it from driving 6 years with the current Model S. But I think it could be useful to get some water bottle in there, for example, and yeah, that could replace the cup holders partially if we have some bottles that we use there. Also the design on the door, here we see the wood trim on the door, which will be carbon fiber on the Plaid Model S. I do like that. And apparently there are no door handles anymore, but a push button, just like on a Model 3. So that's good as well. It's more in time, it's less of a design element that needs to be incorporated. Now something that I really don't like is the fact that in the picture here there is still not an adjustable seatbelt height in the Model S. You do have it in the X, so why not have it in the S? I don't know about the Model 3 by heart, if it's adjustable there, but I'm rather small, and for me, if I have my seatbelt on, then yeah, it kind of cuts into my neck as I constantly have to pull it down. So that's really not nice, and I would have preferred to have an adjustable seatbelt height there. Now if we move back to the outside again, then I've tried to zoom in on the tires because they put Michelin Pilot Sport 4S on there, and I wanted to see if the tires are any wider, yes or no. I assume yes. So I went looking for it, and what I can make out is that the tire size on the new Plaid is going to be a 265 35 ZR21 in the front, and that makes me assume, if we draw the line with the current P100D, that the back tires are going to be 285 or maybe even a 295. The images are not clear enough to show that, but it's within the realm of possibilities that it might even be a 295 with tire. It's going to be a lot more costly if you have to replace those tires, and you might want to do that more often than you think because of that 1100 horsepower and not being able to resist launching the car, hopefully in a safe manner, of course. But yeah, it's going to need that additional grip to be able to get that 2-second 0 to 60 time. Now keep in mind, especially for Europeans, that is the American specification, the Motor Trend specification, that includes a 1-foot rollout. So if you want the actual 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, we have to add like 1.5 to 2 tenths of a second to that. So it's going to be like a 2.15, 2.2, 0 to 60 for the Plaid, and the Plaid Plus will be a little bit lower than that. It's still blisteringly fast. My current P100D, it's not the most recent one. The fastest I've done the 0 to 100 is in 2.7 seconds, which is mind-blowing already, and now they are shaving off half a second or maybe even a little bit more than that. So that is really amazing, and the G-forces are going to be quite high in that car. And if you look at the specifications for both cars, the current performance car and the new Plaid, and we compare them, then we see that the weight has gone down by about 150, 180 pounds. Now, some say that this is because of the new battery structure, and partly that is probably the case. There's different cooling conduits there, conduits, sorry, and the battery is going to be slightly different in architecture. So it's not yet the new battery pack. So Elon has already confirmed that they are not changing on the Plaid and on the long range. That the batteries are going to change, so there's still going to be the 18650s. They are going to change the chemistry in there, but the new 4680 batteries will only be used in the Plaid Plus for now, which will come at the end of the year. So as I predicted, they are currently doing something else with those batteries, and they are still waiting to ramp up to be able to meet the demand of the Plaid as at the end of the year. The drag coefficient, that has gone down from 0.23 to 0.208, which apparently is the lowest drag coefficient on any production vehicle. I know that there are some of them that are lower, but they're not really in mass production. Most of it will be, I'm guessing, from not having the louvers, so the new front, the different spoiler, the splitter, and the fact that the car is a little bit lower, because the drag coefficient is also in function of the frontal area of the car, and if you reduce that by lowering the car a little bit, then you increase or you decrease the drag coefficient as well. So that's definitely good, and that will help with increasing the range as well, of course. So that 160-ish pounds of weight saving, which is about 80 kilograms, that's an adult person that you're not taking into the car, and that will of course also help with handling a little bit. It is still a heavy car, but yeah, it will change a few things as well. Now, if you look at the differences in body structure, then you can see that in the old car, in the front of the wheels, you had that rectangle there, which is a structure to hold that cooling fan that is being currently used. Also, the splitter apparently had some kind of metal in there. You had that cross beam above the wheels with the strut braces above them, and it does not seem to be the case. Now, we don't know if this is the exact same level of detail or the level of what they've taken away, but if you look at the new car, it is not there anymore. That cooling is no longer necessary because of the heat pump. The crash structure in the front is completely different, and yeah, if that's more hollow, lighter material, maybe with the same strength or even more strength, then of course that will help with the weight saving as well. The same with the floor of the car. If you look at the cross beams that are on the floor, then you will see that there are a couple of holes in there on the new one that are not there on the old one. So that is also saving weight, and all those bits will add up to about 160 pounds of weight saving. One other thing we need to talk about is the active noise cancelling. So the sound system in the new car has 22 speakers divided all over the car or spread all over the car, and they will have some additional microphones that will have active noise cancelling, just like the headphones that you may have. So they will filter out, or they will listen for any road noise, wind noise, that kind of background noise, and then play the anti-noise to actually filter it out for you. It's still there, but it's going to be actively filtered out. Now, I think that is really good, because everybody's always saying, oh, EVs are so quiet, but I don't think my Model S is quiet on the inside. It's rather loud with road noise and with wind noise, and if that could be filtered actively, that would be awesome, and you would finally get a really quiet car on the inside. However, I do have my reservations on how that will work when there's a police car behind you with sirens, or some kind of other emergency vehicle like a fire truck or an ambulance, stuff like that. So I'd have to see it to see or listen to it to see how good it actually works, and I'm sure that Tesla will have taken that into account somehow. But yeah, it is a concern that I had when I first read that this was going to happen. So what do I think? Well, I'm still in doubt at the moment. My first opinion, my first impression was I'm going to cancel my reservation because I really don't like not having the stock, that funky steering wheel there, and the fact that it might not be a 5-seater anymore. Now that steering wheel, I don't see that much issue on it. Maybe it's going to be an option, because if you check it on the order page, in the end you will see that it says the yoke steering wheel included. So maybe that becomes an off menu option to have a regular steering wheel, or maybe it will have to be a steering wheel that is round. I don't know. I have looked for the regulations and I cannot find any regulation that would prohibit this kind of steering wheel. As long as there's an airbag in it and you can do all the functionality on there, it should be fine. It's just a matter of taste, I guess. But there will be plenty of aftermarket companies that will create some kind of thing that you can put on top of it to make it a round steering wheel, or maybe a squared off steering wheel like the Ferrari type of wheel. So yeah, I do have my reservations on the blinkers that are not an actual stock but buttons on the steering wheel, because if you turn it, then the blinker is suddenly in a different position, and especially if you have to turn it more, then all of a sudden left becomes right and right becomes left. That could become confusing, but it's something that I guess you can get used to rather quickly by just using it every day. The horizontal screen, I really like that, and I didn't expect anything else but a horizontal screen coming in a refresh there. And yeah, it's just the back seats that I'm a little bit worried about. So for now, I'm keeping the Plaid Plus reservation. I'm still not sure whether I will go through with it. I really need to see the car myself and maybe do a test drive in it before I make my final decision on it. But come on, Plaid Plus, 1100 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. It is very tempting to go for that. The timing is almost perfect because my current car, the lease is up for that car next year in February. So yeah, if the Plaid Plus appears end of year, around that same period, then yeah, it would be an ideal switch to make. But I have too many reservations to say now, okay, I'm going for it. But hey, if you guys have already decided and you are going for a Plaid or a Plaid Plus, or just a new long range with the new design, then know that you can still use my referral code down here to get some free supercharger miles. And as always, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and make sure you click that little bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. And for now, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.